Hello and welcome. My name is Michelle and I converted to Islam. I live in Ontario, Canada, and this is the story about my journey to Islam. My life before Islam was a struggle constant. Unsure of who she wanted to be, haunted by many memories, pains of my childhood, anger at what I had lost in what I considered a normal childhood, but always knowing in my heart that there must be a reason why I went through it all, without ever being able to understand really the reason. I didn't grow up with my family. I lived my childhood in the other people's houses since I lived in foster homes from 6 or 7 years. Celebrating with strangers who, although they had a desire to help me and surround me with a positive environment, yet they were not my own family, as much as these acts were the result of love. I will always be grateful to those who have opened their homes, families, and hearts to me, and I will always love them for right. I want to clarify that my family has always been part of my life and I always had their love, but I was a troubled child and they did what they did. They thought it was the best for me, and I love them for that. I never felt accepted as a child in nowhere, or when I went through the painful experience of adolescence, I felt strange and abnormal. When I look back, I see that some of the most choices I made were caused by desperation to be accepted, to feel normal, to convince myself to do what other people were doing would be accepted as one of them. Never felt any connection to any, since none of them ever appealed to my heart. I think that the simplest way to explain it is that it had no direction in relation to mine spiritual well-being, and so I lived my life doing what I wanted, and, although the rebel in me stood out, I never wanted to hurt anyone. I also think that I was angry with God because of my painful childhood and had the persistent thought, what if I am being punished? So, I didn't want to do it part of no religion. He went to parties, drank, and did everything he thought was good and fun at the time. As I grew older, I began to realize that this was not the way to find answers about my life and existence. I tried to find these answers, but I failed and thought to myself, even though I wouldn't find the answers. I didn't even attend a church with one of my supervisors at my work, and although it was grateful for her kindness and guidance, I did not yet feel the call to Allah. Then one day, after too much time had passed and I had not found peace or answers to my questions, a dear friend emailed me inviting to join a social network, and I thought it would be a fun way to meet new people. Unfortunately, I made contact with some very bad. My life got out of control. I was in this situation and found some people who were Muslims and were now close friends. I started to chat and talk about the differences in our beliefs, culture, and lives. I was amazed at the peace and tranquility they seemed to project and the undeniable faith that they had in Allah. Despite all the horrible challenges, were still there for me, supportive and listening when I was sick, as I suffered from chronic depression. I saw that even though I had faced challenges in my life, there was no comparison with what they dealt with on a daily basis, like my friend in Palestine and another in Iraq. They talked to me about their daily struggles and issues they had faced. I was amazed at the love and support they gave me. I loved them for it, and I wanted to try and bridge any gaps we had in terms of our beliefs, since I was not a practitioner, but I always believed in Allah. This started my journey towards Islam. I watched videos and talked to them about Islam, what it was, how it helped them in their lives, how they used it to live a life with courage, and his undeniable faith that, despite the challenges faced, they would be rewarded for their faith and acts of kindness. I read online and tried to maximum get my information from reliable sources. When I started to get a better idea about Islam and what it meant to live as a Muslim, I wanted to know more and more. Deep down I felt that it was the way for me, but I was apprehensive about professing my faith. For the most part, it was out of fear, not fear of the judgment of others people, since I had dealt with it all my life. It was fear of the failure. I will try to explain it in more detail. At the time I had no intention of becoming convert to Islam. I simply wanted to educate myself and try my best to understand the Islam. He had an enormous admiration and respect for Islam and those who followed this way of life. Muslims persevere and follow Islam despite challenges horrible faces that they face. There are a lot of misunderstandings and negative propaganda in the media, especially since the September 11th attacks. I didn't think that I could handle all of this, and I didn't want to accept Islam in order to abandon it after. As time went by, it was constantly surrounded by the fact that there is a lot of suffering, pain, and despair in the world. It shattered me to know that my friends faced situations horrible and couldn't sit around doing nothing. I wanted to make my little one. He sets out to make the world a better place in a way he knew he could. After much thought, I finally concluded that I would accept Islam. I am now changing my life and living the Islamic life. I wish I was closer to mine Creator to be able to converse with Him. He who knows the desires of my heart for a better world, free from oppression, fear and hatred. I hope to be able to one day help guide others to the path of Islam so that they may feel the love of Allah and live a life that will fill them with love and peace, just as it happened to me. It's been a painful journey, but the reward far outweighs the pain, and I'm grateful for it. I still feel shattered internally when I read what's happening to people all over the world. But now I feel less hopeless because I know that on the day of judgment all actions will be judged. Catafalque, it's an issue I've struggled with all my life, and I'm grateful to have this one guarantee of my Creator. Alhamdulillah, all praises and thanks are due to God. Our Creator is loving and merciful. I thank you for coming with me on my journey to Islam. Assalamu alaikum.